Instructional Designers in Offices Drinking Coffee is brought to you by Domino, makers of Domino One, the all-in-one, cloud-based e-learning authoring tool for teams. You can learn more at domino.com. Now, here's this week's episode.
Come on, everybody.
Good morning, gang.
I love it when the bass line comes in. I don't know why. It's just it's a thing. I'm not a bass player, but I love a good bass line.
There's some sort of dad joke that we can make in there, but I'm just not finding it yet today. Maybe by the end. Maybe by the end of our time.
Maybe by the end of our time. How's the weather everywhere, everybody in the chat? Look at that. We got all the weather reports coming in.
Yep. It's a mixed bag across North America. Some places it's weather, and some places it's weather.
It's funny how that works. Yeah, we had no weather yesterday except for sunshine and 72 degrees. And then today, rainy, cloudy, and just nice cool temps.
Ivor says it's dull in the UK, but I think that's got to be a weather forecast rather than maybe a political commentary.
Oh, wait, I got that.
Oh.
Well, I thought I had it.
It's gone now. We missed the moment.
How come it's not playing?
Do it up
Dang
to the
it.
one.
I even had a button for it and everything. Sorry about that. Hey, everybody, we're on Idiotic today. Welcome to Wednesday.
Not surprisingly, we're being idiotic. Anyway, we have Josh Cavalier joining us here, folks. Josh, you've been with us before, but it has been a while. So Introduce yourself to our gang of folks here that we've got livening up the chat this morning.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody, for spending part of your day with us. I'm Josh Cavalier. I have been in learning development for 28 years, and I started out as an art director for an e-learning firm based here in Charlotte, North Carolina. And after that, I started a training company, Lodestone, trained thousands of people across the United States on media. And then 2 years ago, I decided to jump back into corporate. So I'm currently a learning architect with American Tire Distributors based in Huntersville, North Carolina. We are the leading tire distributor of replacement tires in Canada and the US. And as part of that role, I head up the L&D function to support our B2B, B2C, and all things with our corporate headquarters as far as our associates. So that keeps me very busy.
And it's kind of the reverse path of most people kind of, corporate for 2 decades and then freelance. So that's kind of a different pathway. It's always fun to hear about those things.
Yeah, to get deep into it, we need to be at a bar. But the shortened version of it is that what had happened was that my model wasn't really working anymore as far as having physical classrooms. So everything was headed online. And a lot of the work that I was doing was going into human resource departments, L&D teams, and spinning them up on tech and doing consulting. Now, for those of you that do consulting, you know that you'll go into an organization, you'll spend a couple weeks, maybe a couple months, and then they don't implement. or it's a variation of implementation, and not all the time. Sometimes they do that, but you know what I'm talking about. And what had happened was an opportunity came up, and I was like, you know what? Wouldn't it be fun to actually go to a company and do good work and see the business results? And it's been amazing to actually see that happen and be a part of organizational change, to be a part of an industry that is rapidly evolving in regards to supply chain. So it has been quite a journey, but ask my wife, she loves me not being an entrepreneur.
Across the country agree.
That doesn't mean it's not in my blood. Believe me, the side hustle itch is there. but where I'm at right now, it keeps me challenged and it's a lot of fun.
Well, that's very, very cool. Of course, no matter what you've been doing in this 2-decade-ish career, video has played a big role in the stuff that you've done. We've had some chats before here around video, and today we're talking about different video processes and ways to think about and work with video to be more efficient, or to make a longer go of your budget. Are you using a lot of video right now at the tire?
Yes, at American Tire. Yeah. So tons of video when it's needed. Again, it's just not a one-stop solution. Just say we need video for everything. Of course, it's not how we operate, but we do find that there are opportunities to get messaging out quick. And the one thing that I like about video is that depending upon the tools that you have, you can be extremely nimble with it. And I work very closely with our comms department, and there's a lot of activation that happens before a training, event or a program gets rolled out. And what I mean by that is like instructional marketing. The WIFM, what's in it for me? Why should an employee care about this training effort that we're about to put out there? And so it's really cool because some of the content that I'll create involves the emotional type content, the emotional video that talks about the why. Why are we going in and having you go through this program? What's going to happen on the other side of it, and help tell that story.
Very cool. And video is, of course, a great tool for emotional connection, because you have facial expressions, you have the human face that you're looking at, or the storytelling aspects, even if there isn't a human on the screen talking to you directly, and all those tips, tricks, and tools that someone's mentioning Spielberg in the chat already. All those tools of video as a storytelling tool, and therefore an emotionally effective tool for communicating with folks. Very cool.
Oh yeah. It's interesting to explore and think about all the different ways that video can be used throughout the whole entire learning journey. I mean, I know for many of us that we got started with just the straight training content, and so it's probably a video that's parked inside of some type of authoring tool. But as learning ecosystems begin to mature, I see more companies implement video content management systems. So that's where things really get opportunities come up, and there's all kinds of ways that you can leverage a video content management system to help distribute video both internal and external to an organization. And that's where I really see the L&D function blossom as far as video.
Yeah, very cool. What kind of thoughts do you put in when you're starting down this pathway then? Because what you're kind of talking about is maybe video is more than just formal learning, as you say, stuck in something that's as part of a SCORM package, but also making it accessible in other places to help people solve, informal learning needs. Like I need to know how to do this, or I need a refresher, what that kind of thing. So when you're thinking about, say, a video that you want to use maybe in more than one way, where did your process start? What's the framework or the thinking process, the planning process for you?
Yeah, there's a lot of things to consider. And, the first is always the business outcome, so what exactly from a business standpoint we're trying to achieve, and then who are the audience members that we need to drive either a new skill, a behavior, it's just knowledge transfer, whatever the case may be. And so that's the start. So I put on my performance consulting hat and think about all of the front end type things that need to happen for activation of the knowledge. Then I'll look at the whole entire learning journey, right? And again, for many of us, we're just like, oh, we got to deliver this content in an LMS, and immediately we just go for the training content or workbook or quick reference guide, job aid, and so on. But I will go and work with my partners in change management and communications for that activation, for that awareness. I call it instructional marketing. And I think there is there's an opportunity for many L&D functions to actually go ahead and delve into the marketing of the training content itself. So spend some time there. Then there's what I call pre-training, or right before the training event. In other words, like, what kind of information can I put out there for individuals to be successful, right? Have these materials, have this knowledge ahead of time before you actually go into the training. Then you have the training content, and then you have post-training, like a boost. Like, okay, so you've just taken the training content, and I'm going to go ahead and boost you. It may not be video. It could be like just a series of questions or something on their mobile phone or in a learning experience platform. And then there's performance support, right? And then we have even the ability for potentially associates to record their own content. And so we have that type of collaboration going on now. So that's the breadth of the learning journey. And throughout that whole experience, there's always an opportunity for video.
It's interesting. Cool. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say far too often when we talk about one topic, right? We have a topic that we put out there. People do think about it as just like one thing, right? It's like it comes into whatever comes into their mind is what they've experienced with it. In this case, just video. Some people will immediately go and think YouTube. Other people will immediately think, micro learning, right? Everybody has their own sort of preconceived notion of where it fits into their schema of thinking around this kind of stuff. So it's fun to hear somebody talk to us about that whole, like all of the different areas, that journey, right? And that it's different, right? The why you create the video for each one of those different points along the journey is different. And the video that you create and how you create it is going to be different as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, what's interesting is that if you go about, and not everything is a whole entire learning journey. I get it. Sometimes there's things that are happening with the business where you just have to jump and make it happen. I get it. But for those things that are premeditated with the business, and they're like, hey, in April or Q2, we're going to have this initiative go ahead and put a plan together. I love that, right? Because I can then go ahead and premeditate with my internal business partners content solutions that I can leverage throughout the whole learning journey. In other words, so if we go to a video shoot and I have a C-level executive and their time is, very valuable, but I've premeditated the instructional marketing, the pre-training, the training, the post boost, and the performance support, I got it all storyboarded out, right?
Yeah.
Not like, oh, we've created this training, now we got to activate it, but we can't get the, the CEO or the COO or whoever in front of the camera again. So, my suggestion is to, again, look at all of those touch points in the learning journey and premeditate. It's a little bit more work, but I mean, on the other side of the project, you see so many different benefits. And this is even like, it doesn't even have to be at that scale. If you have, let's say, a webinar or an online class that you're doing, but you understand the content that's going to be delivered, you can premeditate what type of videos could be cut out of it for performance support, right? And so you could go about it that way too. So that's one of the strategies I use. And the other strategy I use is to not only just premeditate video, but something I call video derivatives. And so video as a medium, we all know, is rich. Like there's a ton of information in there. And if you're shooting at 4K, that's some pretty high res. And you can use that for print. But one of the other things that we have to do to help support our employees or associates is to go ahead and create various forms of content. So it could be a podcast. It could be a quick reference guide. It could be a PowerPoint deck, all kinds of different content. And so yet again, if I premeditate, I'm going to be shooting this B-roll, I'm going to be shooting this video, or I could be in a tool that's doing animation. There's a lot of tools out there that do animation. You could script. Where can I use a still? Where can I create an animated GIF? Where can I go in and get a snippet of video and put that in a course? So I think there's tons of opportunities out there that a lot of us, because of the speed at which we're, creating content, we don't take a step back and think, hey, let me take that video and send it to a transcription service like rev.com, something like that. Let me pull the transcription from it and then put that text out there for folks that just want to read. Right? So you're putting in a different format that's another consumable format that somebody can leverage. So again, it takes a lot of work on the front end, but once you get reps in this, it's amazing how you will think about projects differently once you jump into them.
That's the process, right? That's like those are the little processes that I think everybody starts to define. I think that's what you mean by get the reps in, right? And once you kind of get it rolling, once you kind of understand that, oh, this could be a valuable derivative of the video. Yes. Now, how can we do this more efficiently? What's the process that we can put in place to be able to replicate this over and over again? So have you come across any, processes that are really good for quickly doing things? I mean, let's say you're a one man band, right? Yes. And you need to try to do this stuff. Most of the time people are like, I don't want to do it. It's just too much work and I don't have the time or the resources for it, but how can we help people out in those situations?
All right. So shop of one. So, one of the things that is probably the throughout my career, one of the biggest challenges has been system training. So when someone's like, oh yeah, we're rolling out this system and we need the training done ahead of time, like, woo, red flags, the sirens are going off. It's like, oh my gosh, here we go. Anyways, this afternoon I actually have time booked with a SME, and there's a system that's rolling out. But what I'm doing though is going in and having this individual record their voice. I'm going to record their screen, and then the output from that is going to be videos and quick reference guides. But using a tool, there's some video editing tools that are out there that allow you to extract single frames or an image from a video, and that's all part of the process. So I know what I'm looking for as the SME is recording the video. I may have them go back and do a task over again because I know I'm actually going to capture an image of the button or that area of the screen or whatever the case may be. So there's a little bit of work ahead of time before I jump into this meeting because I know what the output types are going to be already. All right. And then, I'm not going to use their voice, but I'm going to go ahead and transcribe the text, clean it up, and then I'm going to re-record the audio. So it's a nice, clean recording. And I don't have to write the tasks from scratch. They're actually talking through it. But
right.
We all know how SMEs are as far as either in front of the camera or recording. So, we got to clean that up. But as far as like, hey, do I need any fancy tools for this? Do I need any special software that's going to output all this stuff, automatically? No, you don't. It's all right there. I mean, many of the tools that you're using today already have these capabilities. And from a planning, standpoint, just put it into your workflow, and explore different functions in a tool that can go ahead and take speech to text, or can go ahead and take single images from a video, or that you can go ahead and do a screen recording with. There's a lot of tools out there to do screen recordings, and understand the depth of what you can do.
Yeah, and video really is. It's never been easier. Historically, I mean, we're all walking around with a video camera. So, if you want to get into this and start working, more, let's call it live, recording of video as opposed to screen videos, etc. You've got your phone. You could start there with using that at least as a starting point. And it's editing right on your phone and stuff too, right? So,
yeah, it's funny. My son who's 15. He wants to get into video, which I'm excited about that, right? And he's like, I need to go ahead and have this camera and this, that, and the other thing. I'm like, well, what about the iPhone that you have? Can we explore that first? I mean, you have an amazing piece of equipment in there. And somebody I noticed in my social feed this morning, a friend was showing pictures of doing a 4-minute exposure on a Google Pixel 6 of the night sky. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, these phones and the capabilities of both the video and the still images are just, it's numbing to think of how far we've come in the last 20 or 30 years. And those devices, I mean, I've taught classes where I've had individuals take their mobile phone and mount it on the back of a rolling chair and use it as a dolly to actually dolly through a hallway or pan across an object or something like that. And it's unfortunate because I think there's a lot of information out there about, what is the perfect setup. And I think many folks will get apprehensive because there's so much equipment. There's so many things to consider that it prohibits them from hitting the record button, unfortunately. When in fact, really, if you just have crystal clean audio, you're winning at that point.
Step one. Yeah.
Yes. Like, if your audio is awesome, then you can really there's a lot of leeway with video quality.
It's a lot better these days too, especially with the iPhone, because originally, even when cameras started to get really good on mobile devices, the audio was still sketchy and questionable at best. But even these days, the audio that an iPhone can pick up just from the built-in mics that are on the device are really, really good. Are they the best quality you can get into a mobile device? No, but they're good enough. And I know people hate when I say that, but it's gotten to the point where I'm very confident saying that you can use that microphone on your iPhone and capture really good audio.
Yeah, or use a product with a Bluetooth microphone that goes directly into the device or whatever. So there's a lot of options that are out there.
Yeah.
It's funny because I've transitioned from having an office to where I had a full-blown TV studio to actually just being at a home office. And like right now, the lights that are on me, I have two like $15 monitor clip lights that are lighting me up right now. I'm not breaking the bank. My wife wouldn't let me break the bank anymore, so I'm on a beer budget.
You mean the CEO, right?
Exactly. And so even the camera that I'm using right now is still a Logitech HD camera, but it's still like, I don't know, $80.
Yeah.
There's a lot of options that are out there, and I think that, go out and get reps. Get reps with video.
That's the thing. Yeah.
And that's the only way that you're going to learn. And it's, it's amazing, even looking at a platform like YouTube and seeing the maturation process of a lot of YouTubers that are out there. And you look at some of the first videos that they did, and man, they were getting it wrong. They were just, bad lighting, bad audio, but after rep and watching what they were doing and watching what others do, you just get better at it. And you, before you hit the record button, you had that mental checklist going through your head, and you got it. Like, exactly, oh yeah, I need to check A, B, and C before I hit the record button. And that carries over into you shooting, individuals or subject matter experts, or doing screen recording, wherever the case may be.
Mm-hmm. Robert's got the mention. I was thinking of this too. That the iPhone works very well, in particular if you use a gimbal stabilizer. So around $100 or whatever, then you're not holding it and just your own handshake, etc. Suddenly makes a huge difference just in how people perceive it. It looks just that little notch more professional. There's also a lot of if you're talking to somebody who is truly an expert in something, and that comes through because of the way that they're speaking, etc., that authenticity is also, in a lot of cases, a way to almost forgive some of the unprofessionalism potentially of a video. In other words, if people recognize that what they're watching is helpful and valuable, those sorts of things, then you don't need, Star Wars level, swipes and fades, etc. The authenticity of the information is also an emotional connection, that someone is clearly an expert, and they're clearly giving you good information, etc. I know that for a while there was the thing going on. All your videos need to be 3 minutes or less, because Google had come out with something saying that nobody watches video on YouTube past 3 minutes or whatever. I mean, the video needs to be as long as it needs to be to give you the information you need to achieve the task. I spent one weekend going through a whole bunch of videos for a particular product, not because they were necessarily product focused, but because they were just general information. They were all 20, 21-minute videos, and there was like 9 of them in the series. I watched the whole dang thing because every one of them was giving me helpful information, and also proving its quality as it went along by the authenticity of the information and the person who put the videos together. So.
Yeah, there is an opportunity for long form video. For years, I would go and speak about micro video, and then I flipped the script, and I was like, "No, wait a second. The pendulum has swung hard in one direction. Let's give long form video its due." And I think when you have multiple learning objectives that you're trying to disseminate out in a long form video, that you have to strike a balance with emotion. And what I mean by that is that as you go through a long form video, you'll have information get stored into working memory, and that needs to be offloaded. I don't care if you tell the viewer to hit the pause button and take a note or perform a task, or if you transition from one learning objective to another with on-screen talent or music or a different title or whatever the case may be, there has to be this reflection that happens after the first learning objective, and then you roll right into the transition, and then you go into the next learning objective. Unfortunately, I think for a lot of folks, they'll go ahead and they'll create a long-form training video, and it's just learning objective. You're getting pounded. Now, there's something to be said about the sophistication of our playback mechanism, right? To where in a lot of video players, you can go ahead and hit pause. You can go back 15 seconds. You can jump ahead. You can take a note. That's pretty cool. And a lot of faults that we have in long form video are actually recovered by the ability of the individual to control the playback, as opposed to when I was in grade school. They'd roll the card in, and you were in for the full 45 minutes, baby, with that reel to reel, and that was it. Unless the teacher would come over and turn the reel to reel off, flip the lights on, draw something on the board, turn the lights off, turn the projector back on, and start it back up again. That was the playback mechanism.
Rare.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry, I was going to say let's talk a little bit about the tech stuff briefly.
Oh, yeah.
And then we can weave in some more process stuff along the way, because we got some questions in the Q&A that I want to make sure we hit before we run out of time. So the top one, and it was even voted up once, was, are video content management systems tied to an LMS?
Oh man, that's a good question. So there are some video content management systems in the marketplace that act like a learning management system. They're video first. I'm not going to mention any vendors, but they do exist. I would have to say that there's some of the stronger contenders that are out there in regards to a video-centric delivery of content. Now, one of the other strategies that you could take is to put, and I recommend this, is to put all your video content inside of a video content management system, and then have your authoring tool bring in a streaming video. Now, why is that? Well, one, for organizational purposes. 2, access and distribution, because typically the video content management systems can go ahead and throttle or send different formats of the video based upon bandwidth, right? Yep. 3rd, and this is the most important one, is analytics. So I can't emphasize this enough. The information that you get back from your audience members consuming video is gold. Let's take something like audience retention. So let's say I have a long form video, 15 minutes long, and I could see where our audience members, based upon retention, have scrubbed over areas, have stopped, have watched content twice, And I can go, hey, that would make a great performance support video. They watch, look at this section is watched 5 times more. The only way I'm going to get that is through analytics. Same thing with geographic distribution. If I'm delivering video-based content, I'm like, hey, what's up with the West Coast sales team? How come they didn't how many folks are actually watching this video out there? And you can actually see the numbers or the, geographic distribution. There's so much rich information that's in there. So I'm all for implementation of a video content management system within a learning ecosystem, but it takes a lot of work because I've seen implementations to where the video content management system is siloed and it's not shared with the marketing team or sales. The video content management system, for it to work, must be a unified effort between the different parts of the organization. You can't, it's not going to work in a silo.
Or at least you're not going to get the value and the ROI, right? If each department has purchased its own video content management system, that's not very efficient.
It's not. And so what'll happen is that the marketing team or sales, they all have specific needs and they all realize that they want to distribute video. And then the next thing you know, you have Microsoft Stream, you have Cultura, you have Vimeo, you have, it goes on. And then now you have segmentation throughout your whole entire organization. Yep. So it makes sense to partner with IT and lean into one single solution for the long run. Now, if we get out the crystal ball and we look way down the line as far as advantages of video content management system, artificial intelligence is going to play a huge role in reconstituting video-based content based upon your own individual needs as a learner. And what I mean by that is that the systems will understand the information that's there. And based upon deficiencies that systems can see about your own skills and behavior, videos could be created on the fly and then pushed to you, maybe even in the moment of need, right? Or maybe within the system itself. But the only way that that's going to work is if you have great content. If you have a whole video content management system filled with crap, there's no value there. And so, the emphasis right now I have is on creating great training content or great, training videos, because again, if we go down the line, it's going to play a huge role in us expediting the content creation process.
Robert's mentioning in the chat that he's done that, where the videos are stored in one sort of delivery system for streaming, et cetera, but then bringing that stream into the authoring tool. And just like you were saying, it helps you also tie in, not just the video becomes part of the learning experience, but it helps you wrap other tools around that, such as practice activities or other things that can help the learning process, or contextual information, leading into something that maybe the video doesn't contain, etc. So it really can help. It can help you support learning in the best way possible by combining those different things together. Yeah. Brent, what's the next question we've got?
Yeah, the next one is, are there specific tools, recording apps, editing software, and equipment that you use or recommend? Now, this could be a whole entire show unto itself.
Yes.
So let's maybe pop a few off, that might be on the top of your head. But then if you have a link or something like that, maybe you could share with a list of all the stuff you use or anything like that.
Currently I use Yeti microphone. So that's, $100 or $80 right there. I'm using a Logitech webcam. I use Canon cameras. So mirrorless DSLR or just standalone video camera. So various video cameras there. As far as like an editing tool, I use Premiere and I use Camtasia. I have to say that I have been leaning into Camtasia a lot, just because of ease of use, and I can work really fast in that tool. And it also gives me, I do a lot of screen recording. And here's a hot tip. So I have, I just got a 34-inch, ultra wide monitor, but wait, And then next to it, I have another monitor that's in portrait. And it's specifically in portrait so that I can go ahead and create portrait-based video for either social media or mobile devices, or doing screen recording in portrait. So
Nice.
that's my current setup.
That is huge. What about mobile? Like, I know
Yep.
I've been toying around with mobile editing, and that is definitely something you have to practice and get your reps in on, because I come from a world of old school editing devices, and boy, even back at analog, and trying to do it on a really tiny screen to do all the little fine edits and all that kind of stuff is not as easy. They're cool tools, but wow. Do you ever find yourself using them, or?
Yeah. So, I mean, tools like Adobe Rush, or, these mobile editing tools, I've attempted to use them. And, I mean, I have large hands, and so I need a tablet, and I don't use a tablet. I use my mobile phone, and just, I can't work the way that I want to work.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I always hope in my lifetime that I'll be able to edit as fast as my mind thinks. I haven't gotten there yet. I've been waiting 30 years for it, but it hasn't happened yet. And I'm doing this on the mobile phone, and I'm like, this is cool. If I had to do an edit and I had no equipment except this phone, I could do it. And I have done it in the past, but not for the type of work that I'm creating. I mean, if I was doing more social media and I had to do quick edits and overlay text, and I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm in Instagram doing short videos and stuff for social sharing, but not for the types of projects that I'm working on. That's not to say you can't do that. I mean, it could be a generational thing too. I'm all for everyone exploring tools. I don't never like to downplay a tool, because each tool has an advantage. But it's not for me. It's not for me.
Yeah, gotcha. Chris, what's your favorite tool of choice? Quick, off the top of your head.
For video, I work a lot just for quick videos and stuff that we might need to do. I work just with the free tools, like iMovie on the Mac, for instance. For a lot of things, that's sufficient. And it's also just a great entry point for folks, or those video mobile tools, the simpler ones. If you've never done it before, it's beneficial to start out with something simpler, because my gosh, something like full on, video editing suite could be very overwhelming right away. So
I'm gonna do something really crazy. I'm gonna see if I can take my camera and spin it around here real quick so you guys can see my setup. Maybe, I don't know. Let's see. So there's I don't know if you can see, there's the portrait monitor. And then there's a 34-inch monitor all the way across. Hey, there's Brent. And yeah, but that's the setup right there. So that's off on the side, and then I have my regular monitor there, and there's one of the lights, right? So you can kind of see the setup there.
Very nice. I'll give my hot tip of the day is these headphones that I use that hide really nicely. They're like $12 on Amazon, and they're cheap. You wouldn't want to be listening to your favorite like classical tune if you're an audiophile, but holy buckets for having nice little in-ear monitors. Like if they break, or I don't know, if your dog chews them like mine does, spending another $12-13 doesn't break the bank. So I think I'm on my 4th pair now.
Wow, those look great. Plus, you can go out in public and wear a suit and just walk around like this and freak people out. Like security detail.
But I like it. I saw somebody else doing it on a YouTube video. Another live streamer was using them, and that was their hot tip a few years ago. And I was like, ooh, that's a great tip. I love that. So, because we struggle with echo, right, in Crowdcast all the time and whatnot. So having the headphones is a plus for sure. One other question here is about Zoom. Do you think with the prevalence of Zoom calls with live interactions and immediate feedback that video has become too passive, and now learners expect more engagement sitting in front of a screen watching? It's an interesting question.
Well, ever since, going way back to Macromedia Breeze or any of that technology where it was a bidirectional opportunity. Unfortunately, these tools have made people lazy. And what I mean by that is that as a presenter, you should know to engage your audience. And if you're trying to disseminate knowledge, if it's a live presentation, there are multiple opportunities for engagement beyond polls and things like that. What's crazy is there is very few people I see out there who have mastered the medium. I think there's a huge opportunity for as an industry as a whole to gain mastery of doing synchronous presentations across Zoom or Microsoft Teams or whatever. Now, unfortunately, we get throttled by the technology itself, right? Whether it be a whiteboard or a poll or an online game or whatever the case may be. But there's a lot of room for creativity. And I just don't see a lot of people being creative to maintain individuals' attention and keep people engaged and make it bidirectional, as opposed to, because if you're just going to go ahead and speak for an hour, you might as well just not even make it synchronous.
Just record it.
It's a flipped classroom.
Push it out point. There.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I will say it. So let's give a big shout out to Lightbulb Joe and several other folks who actually do work their butts off trying to teach our industry how to be better at that synchronous world of training and to engage and how to do that and how to get better at the tools. And I know it's been an uphill battle for them who have been doing it for, years and years and years and years. And I'm hoping the pandemic has helped them all with everybody needing to do it. But I do think we do have a ways to go with most presenters.
Yeah, those individuals will stay busy.
Indeed. Chris, did you have a question?
Well, there's one last question currently in the question and answer panel. This could be a can of worms. Please define your view of a great training video content. What would be the items you'd look for?
All right. Well, the first thing I would do is break. Yeah, right. First thing I do is break. Where does it sit? Where does it sit in the learning journey? Mm-hmm. And does it meet the objective of what we're trying to do at that moment in time for the audience member and the business goal that we're trying to achieve? Okay, if we got all of that, things that I look for in a great video: reduce cognitive load. That's the balance between the visual and auditory content. Things like using the rule of thirds on the screen, reducing the amount of information on the screen, balance between background audio and voice, sound effects. There's all kinds of different criteria that I go through, like a mental checklist when I'm looking at other people's work. And less is more. Less is more. Simplify and don't look to entertainment to try to replicate what entertainment is doing to maintain attention. We're trying to transfer knowledge or modify behavior. And so we got to be more strategic about that. That's not to say you can't borrow elements from entertainment, but to actually go ahead and have it as a one-to-one or apples to apples kind of, replication, it's just not going to work.
Mm-hmm. I had someone once talk about. I was just going to say, we're surrounded by video, right? We watch it on a screen, every night in different formats.
Oh yeah,
news channels, all of those sorts of examples of things. And I had someone say to me once, I love how in news they're telling you this thing, but at the bottom they're telling you more things. And my brain went immediately to, yeah, that's okay if you're selectively choosing, but if you're actually trying to teach someone, people only have two eyes. And they both got to point in the same direction at the same time. So, it'd be so easy to overwhelm people with video information thrown at them by trying to be super fancy, for example.
Yeah. And, I can't emphasize enough, be a student of cognitive psychology. look at Sweller and Mayer and Dr. Ruth Clark and all these individuals who've done all the legwork for us. Now, a lot of it translates over to video, and unfortunately, you're going to have to go and fill those gaps in, because not a lot has been written about the cognitive psychology of video. It's out there, but you got to dig for it. But the core concepts of reducing cognitive load pays huge dividends when you're creating a video. And what you're going to find is that you'll actually do less work. I kid you not. You'll do less work because you're not going to overproduce. You're going to create quality content that when you reduce cognitive load, there's less elements on the screen, there's less audio. You'll see. Dig in
and
there
again,
and read up on it.
Yeah. It's one of those things where they have to, you actually have to put the reps in. You have to get out there and you have to do this stuff and experience it. And understanding that that theory and whatnot is extremely important, but then putting it into practice takes the reps.
Like be a student of educational video. You can go to YouTube and you can watch Fred Rogers. You can watch, Mr. Wizard. You can go back and look at all these different shows from the 50s and 60s and see the maturation process happen over time. And like a cooking show like Good Eats. Oh my gosh, man. You talk about things that we could borrow for L&D video from that show Good Eats, because it was a masterclass in maintaining attention and teaching concepts. But it was, it's entertainment, but there was room for reduced cognitive load in some of the ways that the concepts were presented. So I'm a student. I love going back and watching old training videos and seeing what was wrong back like in the 50s and 60s. And then, cherry picking and saying, hey, look what they did right here. And how can I leverage that? So I like going back and looking at old training films.
Very cool. I've posted a number of Brent's got a bunch of blog posts on the Domino blog about video and some tips and stuff to get started if you haven't dabbled into it yet. So I threw that into the chat. Mark, throw in your contact details, etc., where people can find you. And we always do remind folks as well that there's the Video or Idiotic LinkedIn group that you can join in and check us out there for more info, etc. Josh, thanks so much for joining us this week. Always fascinating. It's such, video. We could keep talking about this over and over and over again. Well, wait, we sometimes do, because there's so much to explore, and so much to think about, and so many different avenues to go with it. So.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Our pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. This is it's been a great show, and watch those old videos, everybody. Get out there, watch some YouTube, and learn something about it. Right?
Yeah.
Get out there. It's all good, everybody. We will see you next week. Get yourself some coffee. Enjoy your day. Be good to people out there on the socials and everywhere else. Take care, everyone.